All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. If you're here for Hacking the High Seas, you're in the right place. We're going to try and get out of here as soon as we can because I want to go see Hacker Family Feud 2. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so who am I? My name is Chad Dewey. I am a computer science and information systems professor at Saginaw Valley State University here in Michigan. I have degrees and stuff, do pen testing from time to time just to keep myself relevant. I'm not just one of those instructors that don't do stuff. And I'm curious about weird stuff like cruise ships. Okay. It's not that kind of talk. So we're just going to move right along. All right, so disclaimer here, this is the cover your ass part. No unauthorized access to cruise ships or cruise ship systems were attempted or obtained, so I didn't touch anything. Most of these were in-person observations, and most of this stuff was done through publicly available resources: Shodan, Aaron manuals, Google, etc. Not releasing the cruise lines at this time, so just not right now. I've done a lot of cruising over the last several years with 3 different cruise lines, 5 different cruise ships. Each cruise line has the pros and cons regarding security. How many people have gone on a cruise before? Oh, wow. So that's why you're here. Hope I don't ruin it for you. Okay. All right. So a brief overview of the presentation. Before the cruise, hooking yourself up with goodies here and there. During the cruise, some of the Wi-Fi things here and there, physical security, and probably the most interesting part is after the cruise, the internet connectivity, system vulnerabilities, so on and so forth. Okay. One of the disadvantages of getting on one of these cruise ships is internet access kind of sucks. That, and if you do, if you don't have internet or you don't want to pay for internet, it's, you better hope you remember everything, okay? Because Google's not going to be there for you. Okay, so hooking yourself up. Okay, this is what one of the websites look like. They have rewards programs for all of these cruise lines, okay? You can do all sorts of things with this. You can look at your cruise history. You can see where you've cruised in the past. You can also do other things like update missing information such as ship or dates traveled, okay? All right. So what these cruise statuses do, they have different tiers. Usually you start at blue. You might go to ruby, gold, platinum, so on and so forth. It's a rewards program. The more you cruise with them, the more benefits you receive and little perks here and there, like free Wi-Fi, so many minutes of free Wi-Fi, dinner with the captain. Some places allow you to go on tours of the bridge or the engine control room. Just a side note, I have never been on the bridge or in an engine control room before. Okay, so this basically this is my real profile on a cruise line, and it shows that I've cruised a total of 7 times. I usually go on 7-day cruises, okay, so 49 days total, 7 total cruises. Okay, so there's an issue with this, information sanitization, okay. Out of these 7 cruises, I've only been on 4, okay. Now, okay, you might think, well, this is not that big of a deal, and it's probably not, but again, you get perks for some of these things, okay? Since I was essentially able to add whatever cruises I want in my past, I decided to play around with it to see what I could get away with here. So, so what I did is, I decided to add an additional cruise, the one in 2011. I figure, well, I went with my wife, so, I should get credit for that maybe, okay? So I added that. Then I took a little bit further and said, okay, well, I've never cruised in 2009, but I added it anyway, okay? You basically get to say whatever cruise ship you went on, the dates traveled, so on and so forth. So then I went just a little bit further and I added one back in 2005 on a ship called the Crown something, okay? Back in 2005. There's only one problem with that. The cruise ship didn't sail for the first time until June of 2006. So there's that. Okay. All right. But like I say, sometimes you get perks. Not all of them go through these rewards programs, okay? Some of these perks are if you have a birthday, an anniversary, a graduation date, you're celebrating something. While you're booking your cruise, you can sign up for these things, and they're free. You know, they're helping you celebrate whatever event that may be. I find the most lucrative one is being your anniversary. And this particular cruise line, I got a $25 wine gift card, cruise photo, etc. So I don't know. My anniversaries have been in, I don't know, December, January, February, and May. All right, and there's my bottle of wine. Okay, so now we're on the cruise ship. During the cruise, remember, you're on the cruise ship. So, you know, you don't want to sink or anything. Okay. So, normally what most people like on the cruise ship, you know, so they can take pictures of all the buffet food on their plate and, you know, take, you know, a bunch of vacation photos. They want some sort of wireless connectivity. All of this wireless connectivity goes through satellites because it's hard to drag Cat5 cable through the ocean. You got, depending on the cruise ship, and all of them are just a little bit different. Usually you have, one for crew, you know, one network for crew, one for guests, and, you know, a couple more in there. They do have some of their own issues, as noted here. Wi-Fi is very expensive on these ships. Typically just for social media access, it's $5 a day. For full access, it's $25 a day. It's not cheap. So, you know, if you're trying to sniff traffic, look around, see what you can do. There's not a lot of traffic in your room, and there's not very nice weather in your room, so you got to find a busier area. So you might go maybe to the pool, start poking around, looking around, because there's a lot of traffic there, because there's a lot of people there. Yeah, so that's just me. Anyway. Okay, moving right along. So the comparison of the Wi-Fi networks, the last cruise line I went on just this last March, seemed to be the most secure given the limited amount of time. You know, again, I'm on vacation. I'm not going to sit here and poke and prod just to try and get some free Wi-Fi. Anyway, so in order to get free Wi-Fi, you don't necessarily have to be a, you know, try and break it or something like that. Again, your cruise status can get you some free Wi-Fi. The problem with this is you can obtain that free Wi-Fi based on cruise status, okay? So I elevated myself to platinum status. By doing that, I think you get 120 or 150 minutes of Wi-Fi. The only authentication needed for that is your first name, your last name, and of course you had to have a cruise status to be able to, you know, get that extra free Wi-Fi. That's it. And your cabin number. The problem with that is a lot of these cruise ships put your name, first name, last name, your cruise status, and it's right in front of your cabin number. So you could walk by other people's rooms and maybe use their free Wi-Fi if you don't think they're not, you know, that they're going to use it. All right. But anyway, over time, as expected, encryption has gotten better. When I went my first cruise, they had WEP encryption. Of course, we're going to laugh at that now, but that, you know, was kind of WPA and WPA2 were still, you know, they were there, but very early on. So anyway, things have gotten better. Now they are using better types of wireless security. Physical security of the ship. The safe in the room is not so safe. I've seen a couple different safes, numeric and magnetic strip. I had a problem with one that was a magnetic strip because they suggested that you use either your driver's license or a credit card. No. So I tried a bunch of other things and they all worked. I think I used my SVSU ID, you know, for work. I used a Longhorn Steakhouse gift card. It doesn't matter. It's just looking for something to lock it with a specific string and then unlock it with that same string. So, staff doors almost never lock. Some had no locks whatsoever. So you could basically walk into staff rooms and, there's, you know, computers there, printers, so on and so forth. Doors to ship internals, okay? Stuff like, places where passengers probably shouldn't be going. You can usually tell because there's paint chipping everywhere and, you know, it's just more unsightly in those areas. But, those were almost never locked. So you could pretty much wander around in places of the ship that you probably shouldn't. Staff laundry found along with forgotten name tags. Okay, that'd be good for social engineering, kind of blending in and going to other places you probably shouldn't go. I found a total of 6 passenger badges lying around. That's not the ship's fault. That's actually just human stupidity. These passenger badges are associated with a credit card number. Fortunately, those credit card numbers are not on that. The numbers themselves are not on these badges. But you could use those to, buy drinks on the ship. Now, when you do swipe those badges on the ship, there is picture verification of the passenger. So in other words, they swipe your card, there's a picture of the passenger, so they could match it, right? Well, they're usually in so much of a hurry just trying to churn out drinks, they don't even look at it. I mean, I didn't include the video on here, but it was literally the picture of the person didn't even have a chance to load all the way before they pushed the next numbers to ring it up. Then of course the cruise passenger room, privacy issue, they're saying their name and all that stuff. You could always pull that card out, but. Alright, so this is, one of those, secure areas. A little bit of a closer look says that, only crew are allowed. Okay, so, don't go past the crew only area. Sure. Okay. Now the cooler stuff, okay? As you can see by this picture that I found on the internet, people who have been able to take tours of these areas, like the engine control room and the bridge, were nice enough to share those on the internet. Again, heavily computerized. Look at all those monitors. I'm jealous. But anyways, heavily computerized. Okay, this is the bridge of the ship, one ship. Again, heavily computerized. Now, if you take a closer look down here, okay, you'll see the navigation systems. Okay, we're still on the bridge. And if you take an even closer look here, you can see that it's a Sperry Marine Vision Master FT. I found that these are very popular, not just amongst cruise ships, but also they're a navigation unit made for large ships, but not just cruise ships, freighters, oil rigs, private vessels. So they're used quite a bit here. All right, there's only one problem with that. If you look up the manual, okay, again, these are widely used. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says actually in a couple areas in the owner's manual that they run Windows XP. That's an issue. Okay, as you may know, Windows XP lost support back in 2014. All right, so now after the cruise. Again, all this stuff was done based off of, again, public information. Okay, all these ships connect to the internet somehow, and that's done through satellite, through the Maritime Telecommunications network. Okay. Okay, so looking at things from the outside, this is the Maritime Telecommunications network, this net block. Okay, 208.114.96. 0 to 208.114.127.255. That's the entire network. Inside, before I actually go inside of that, let's take a look at the actual, what the Maritime Telecommunications Network is. Sorry, I'm stumbling. All right, so it's a VSAT satellite provider that provides internet services to, again, lots of cruise lines, luxury yachts, oil rigs, government and military vessels, and commercial vessels. Okay. Okay, so digging deeper into the Maritime Telecommunications Network and all those IP addresses, each ship is actually identified by these IP address ranges. I'm going to throw them by here really quick. Now, these IP address ranges are given to each ship, meaning specific cruise lines and specific ships. Sun Princess, Tahitian Princess, Diamond Princess, Island Princess. Okay, I'm picking on Princess Cruise Lines a little bit here, but they're all like that. Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, so on and so forth. Okay? So again, just a short list. All right, and it's not just them. There's others too. Again, luxury yachts, my trust fund. Government services, well, you can probably figure out what's there. And totally nuts. Alrighty then. Okay, so if you're curious of where some of these ships are in the ocean in somewhat real time, I know there's websites out there for the aviation industry to show you where planes are in just about real time. Marinetraffic.com does the same thing. You can hover over some of these ships. They're color-coded. The blue ones are typically cruise ships, Freedom of the Seas. If you hover over them, it tells you where they're at, what their destination is, so on and so forth. A lot of ships out there. All right, so again, we're looking at this from the outside. So as I was looking around, I was looking at various things like encryption and what kinds of encryption they were using. And there's quite a few vulnerable systems out there using older or outdated versions of encryption. Then I took a look at some of the services. These are some of the public services running on some of these ships, internet-facing services. Okay, I didn't know anybody used PC Anywhere still, but apparently somebody does. Windows Remote Management. Okay, and then Telnet on port 2323. Oh, how clever. Okay. Other notable issues, and these ones are the more shocking issues, but certainly not a full list of these issues. They're running Debian 4 lost support back in 2010 with vulnerable versions of OpenSSH, voice over IP systems with default usernames and passwords. Several ships run. Okay, so you can read them. Exchange Server 2003, again, no longer supported as of April 2009. Misconfigured firewall. Other vulnerabilities, there's the CVEs for them, and much, much, much more. Okay. Enough vulnerabilities to, I don't know, create BoatNet. Those are the jokes, that's all I got. Sorry. Anyway. Okay, so some cruise lines don't bother to fix some of these things, okay? Like the cruise status issue. If you elevate yourself to platinum, big deal. They gotta, they might give you some free Wi-Fi minutes or dinner with the captain or stuff like that. They actually did reach out to me, they actually replied to my email and said, well, we're okay with that. Well, so am I. But they're not gonna fix it. They figure it's a small price to pay for, you pay right around $500 per person or more. To go on a cruise, so they're okay with little things like that. Okay. So 14 of these companies, I've emailed 14 of these companies who own these ships. I've only gotten 3 responses so far, and I did all this emailing back in February and March when I first submitted this proposal for presenting at a couple conferences. The 3 responses were not negative in any way. They were actually thankful and they were cool about it. Okay. But 3 out of 14 is not really that good. Anyway, the other thing I found out after I submitted this talk originally to B-Sides Las Vegas, I submitted on February 7th. At the beginning of March, there was something called the Verizon Report. What happened is come to find out some Somali pirates took advantage of a container ship, like a management system for the contents on the container ship. Okay, like a listing of all the stuff that was on the ship, so they could be more efficient pirates. In other words, they knew where all the good stuff was, so they know exactly where to go on the ship, grab the stuff, and then get off. Okay. So this is could be a potentially real problem here. All right. I guess another issue, well, it's not an issue anymore. They've gotten at least a little bit better. Internet kiosk on my first cruise used Windows XP and Internet Explorer, which, okay, you can laugh a little bit, but in 2005, that was okay. That was somewhat normal. Nowadays, they're using Windows Vista and Chrome in incognito mode. So I guess that's a little bit better. Anyway, okay, so that's all I got. I'd like to thank a few people. Adam Brand from Protivity, who was sharing resource information with me, kind of helped me speed along some of this research. Dr. Lonnie Decker and Scott James for their help in education and life. Chris Roberts, he actually kind of influenced this thing. He got me started on this based off of, I watched his presentation last year at GrrCon, and he basically said, go out there, explore, research. So I thank him for that. Christina, Elena, and my mother for their inspiration and support. Christine and my mom are here. And that's it. All right. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all? Yes. Well, I'm sorry, what's that? Well, yeah, and that was the last cruise I went on. I had a very difficult time. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to. I have to repeat the question because there's no mics out. So, what was the question? One more time. I'm sorry.
So, the guest Wi-Fi just uses regular pre-shared
Okay, so he was asking how, basically how the passenger Wi-Fi worked, how you log in and stuff like that. It was like a mixture. On the last cruise, I couldn't really figure it out. That was not the cruise where I could elevate my status and get free Wi-Fi. Other ships, they do kind of use this odd mixture. There is a web-based authentication mechanism. So, you have to say who you are and what cabin you're in at least, and then maybe give them the cruise card and agree to the terms and so on and so forth. But as far as they broadcasted the SSID, which isn't that big of a deal, I guess, because you're going to figure it out anyway. But I wasn't able to do a whole lot of research on it other than the last 2 cruises I've been on, and the very first cruise. Yes. Right. Well, okay, so very true. Okay, I just bought a Pineapple Nano, so not that I would use it in a nefarious way, of course. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. If you do end up with any questions, there's my email address. I do have a Twitter handle. It's just @ChadDewey, but I rarely check it. So best way to get a hold of me is email. All right. Thank you.